oh boy, are we starting the new year with a bang.
Hello and welcome to my channel Unsophisticated Sophistry, where I break down seriously underwhelming arguments.
I realize a woman died yesterday. I'm sorry, but that was her own doing. Everyone would know you are putting your own life in danger. They're going to get an ICE agent killed. You are being fed so many lies by the mainstream media right now, not to mention the Democrat officials. How do you protect Mr. Guatemala, lady, to molest the children of Minneapolis?
Megyn Kelly there, previously a reporter on
Bad news!
turns on the propaganda hose for the establishment as she discusses the recent ICE shooting in Minnesota. Let's take a listen to her introduction and analyse her take on the matter.
Hey everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly. Welcome to the Megyn Kelly Show. It has now been over 24 hours since the fatal shooting of a female driver by an ICE agent in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we're getting a much more clear picture of what happened. The media all over X, the mainstream, have lost their effing minds. They've lost their minds about this. The local authorities in Minnesota and Minneapolis are gone. They're too far gone to be reasoned with. They're going to get an ICE agent killed. That's what's going to happen. They're not going to be happy until an ICE agent is dead.
Just a quick pause for thought here. This seems a bit of a redundant argument at this point. Someone has already been killed, and, spoiler alert, it wasn't an ICE agent.
I realize a woman died yesterday. I'm sorry, but that was her own doing. Who among us would not understand that if we did not respond to law enforcement surrounding our car, telling us to get out, we were endangering ourselves? Who among us would expect to live if we pressed the accelerator with a cop in front of our SUV? That's what she did. Everyone would know you are putting your own life in danger.
This is the reason I'm making this video. Sadly, I agree with Megyn. She's right. In the incident we are about to analyse, Renee Good did something that is counter to her best interests. My problem with the whole thing is that I hate that she is right. I hate that minor incidents with law enforcement very quickly and easily escalate to deadly violence. And we all know it. The media isn't asking how this happened, we all know, because we have seen it before. What Megyn is clearly stating is that everyone knows if you mess with law enforcement, you are going to get shot. Why aren't we all asking why? Before we continue with Megyn, I would like us all to take a look at the videos of the incident together and see what we can glean from them. This first video begins with two masked ICE agents approaching SUV which is stationary across the lanes of a road. It is unclear from the footage why. However, reports state that she was attempting to impede the ICE officers, and I have no reason to believe those reports to be untrue. One ICE agent is already on foot, filming with his mobile phone and is positioned in front of the car. An agent tells the lady to get out of the car and attempts to open the driver door. The driver reverses with her steering wheel turned to the left and then drives forward as she turns to the right. As the car moves forward and to the right, the officer in front of the car draws his weapon and fires a single shot through the windshield. The car continues forward and to the right and makes contact with the agent. The agent fires two further shots through the driver's door window as it passes. The car continues until it crashes into a parked vehicle down the road. The important things I think to note in this video are that it most clearly shows the car making contact with the ICE agent, and the direction the car travels in. For a split second, the car is moving forward towards the ICE agent. I think that if you narrow down the focus to that split second, it does, somewhat, support the official line that the woman is weaponizing her car. This is what Kristi Noem wants you to focus on. However, there is a good deal of ambiguity in the actions if you open up the focus to include the entire interaction, which is inconvenient for the DHS. Other actions highlighted in this video that are unhelpful to the official narrative are as follows. 1. The officer is positioned in a dangerous position. He's directly in front of an occupied running vehicle. I would also imagine that his training and experience in similar matters should highlight just how reckless and dangerous a position he is in. 2. Renee backs up the car first. If she was just trying to hurt the ICE officer, then surely she would have just driven forward towards him. This seems incongruous to me. 3. The car veers off to the right after the shooting, highlighting the direction that Renee was attempting to drive in, away from the agent. 4. The ICE agent shoots once through the windshield. Whilst he is still technically in danger, and then twice through the side window as the car is passing, he was no longer in danger at that point. Completely unjustifiable in my opinion. I think this second video helps provide some additional helpful context to the proceedings. Shot by the ICE agent himself, it shows the officer interacting with a lady who was previously a passenger in the car as he circles around the rear of the car to the front. The moment of impact by the car in the shooting is not clear from this camera, as it is knocked as the car makes contact. I think it is important to note that the passenger, Renee's wife, attempts to open the passenger door to enter the car as it begins to move, and more importantly, if you watch the driver, she's initially looking back over her left shoulder as she reverses and then down at her gear stick as she engages drive and then starts turning the steering wheel hard right. From this, I take the following. 1. The driver is not really aware of what is going on to her right-hand side or in front of her. I don't think she would have started moving the vehicle if she knew her passenger was attempting to get back in the car. 2. She has little awareness of the presence of the officer in front of her. She barely glances in that direction throughout the entire exchange. 3. She is clearly turning hard right, turning her steering wheel rapidly to the right. In my opinion, the combination of these actions suggests that the driver of the car is not using it as a weapon and is not attempting to hurt anyone. I think she is panicking a little at the approach of the ICE agent to her car door. In her panicked state, she's trying to flee and has little to no knowledge of the presence of the officer in front of the car and makes contact with him accidentally. This is where I grudgingly agree with Megyn. Renee has made a very poor decision at this point. Sadly, Renee lives in a world where a minor incident can escalate very quickly to a deadly use of force by an armed officer of the law. If there is the slightest hint of danger to a police officer, it is normal for them to start shooting. I believe in personal responsibility, and I am acutely aware that actions can have intended and unintended consequences, and so I believe that Renee bears some, I repeat some, responsibility, however vanishingly small, for what happened. But I have to follow the personal responsibility thread to its logical conclusion. I must then look at the actions of the officer who discharged a weapon 3 times. Now, I'm no expert in the tactics and training of ICE officers, but I imagine a lot of their conduct and their operational strategy is designed to allow them to apprehend suspected illegal immigrants with the minimum amount of force whilst ensuring the safety of themselves, their colleagues, and lastly, the general public. I cannot see where standing in front of a car, engine running, driver in place, fits into a safety-first mindset. They, by definition, are trying to detain people who very well may not want to be detained. I cannot believe this is the first time someone who they have interacted with has tried to flee the scene. I would imagine that the most common response would be an attempt to escape. Surely this jackass should know better. The next action that I take umbrage with is his response to a car heading in his general direction. If I was in that situation, I feel I would try to get out of the way of the car. A neat little sidestep would have done as contact was fairly minimal. What does the training manual say about that? I'm fairly certain the guidance is not to plant your feet and start shooting. The reasons this is unlikely are twofold. 1, you are likely going to get hit if you don't move. 2, if you are successful and you do manage to execute the soccer mum who gave you a bit of aggravation, then you have a runaway vehicle which significantly increases the likelihood of further harm to life. Luckily, there wasn't a group of bystanders watching and filming down the road, where the car went careering unguided until it crashed into a parked car. And finally, I think it is clear that the officer is drawing his gun at approximately the same time that the car begins to move forward. It is also clear that the agent shoots once into the windshield as the car approaches him, then twice through the driver door window as it passes him by. I'm not sure how you can justify the first bullet. I know the line being pushed is that he was in fear of his life. That may be true, and that he thought that his best chance of surviving was to shoot the driver. I'm surprised the initial instinct was to draw his gun and not to move as quickly as possible away from the danger. But let's give him the benefit of doubt on that particular shot. I don't think you can justify the second and the third shot from the side in the same manner. The ICE officer was behaving recklessly and dangerously in my opinion, and discharged 3 rounds, each of which he has to be accountable for. I think Megyn Kelly called it absolutely right when she said, "Everyone would know you are putting your own life in danger there. I live an ocean away and I know that." The driver was protesting the heavy-handed and largely unjustified actions of ICE. She should have been acutely aware of the danger she was in. More importantly, the ICE agent should be acutely aware of the situation he was in. He was trained specifically for it. He has been in similar situations many times before. In fact, as part of the propaganda act that Kelly is performing here, she highlights a previous incident the officer was involved in as a way to explain his actions. The subtext to the next clip I want to show you is that the officer was previously injured quite badly in another car stop that went wrong, and therefore it's understandable that the officer is clearly wary and quick to defend his life. Here's the clip.
There is a stunning development that just happened in this story that we, I believe exclusively, just confirmed. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem mentioned in media interviews yesterday that the ICE agent who shot the driver in Minneapolis was involved. He was involved in a prior incident last June that was very similar to what happened yesterday. This is video of the incident she was referencing involving this same officer. He was dragged during an ICE arrest just this past June and got seriously injured. This same guy, this poor ICE agent. Per the Department of Justice, on June 17th, 2025, law enforcement officers attempted to arrest Roberto Carlos Munoz Guatemala, a convicted sex offender, on an immigration order. By the way, this is what ICE officers are trying to do. This is the terrible work that these lunatics are out there protesting against. They'd rather have Mr. Guatemala have access to their children, I guess. Because this agent that they're now demonizing as a murderer was the one who stopped him, along with his fellow ICE agents. The guy was uncooperative. He refused to follow instructions. After warning him several times, an agent, who is the same agent involved in yesterday's shooting, broke the back window of the suspect's car so that he could open the vehicle from the inside. The man then accelerated his car. You can see it's the same agent. The guy had a mask on yesterday, but same hair. As he sped away, the agent's arm became trapped between the seat and the car frame. You can't see the agent in this video we're showing, but we are showing the car rushing away from the scene. Okay, this is incredibly relevant to what this guy's perception of the danger was. Now, we'll get into the legal standard, which is more of whether it was objectively reasonable for him to think this woman was going to run over him. But that incident will play into whether it was objectively reasonable.
Now, I was a little distracted by the theatrics and the lies she uttered there, so I will address those quickly before I get to my main point. I love the shouting, Megyn. I am so grateful for your help in identifying the real danger here. Yes, he was a convicted sex offender. Can you think of any others? But just so we are clear, I think that's great. They were stopping someone they really should have been stopping. I hope that man gets exactly what he deserves. Your assertion that the protesters would much rather have a convicted sex offender have easy access to their kids than have ICE arrest him is beyond ludicrous. I honestly cannot believe you get paid to espouse such utter nonsense. Clearly the general public want justice. They also believe they live in the land of the free, and as such would like to remain unmolested by the state if it is not warranted. That's why there are laws that the people follow, and which the state officials should also follow, laws that govern when a person can be detained, or indeed shot in the face. So the key subtext provided by the Kelly propaganda machine is that the man is clearly wary of danger, maybe more so than he was before his previous harmful interaction. Just think of him as an abused dog that lashes out unnecessarily due to fear. This is a pretty poor defense, I'm sure you will agree. I do hope you do not mind if I retort. Firstly, this doesn't help with my characterization of the agent. After watching him shoot 3 bullets at a woman, I thought, he seems a bit reckless. Now I know he smashed the back window of a car and put his arm through it whilst trying to apprehend an uncooperative illegal. I think he is stupid and reckless. He's not brave. He's an aggressive idiot who has repeatedly put himself and others in danger. He stood in front of a car that was likely to flee. He put his arm inside a car that was likely to flee. Secondly, if he is like a wounded animal, capricious, fearful, and likely quick to be aggressive due to past harms, should he be allowed to go around armed to the teeth to potentially very dangerous, aggressive confrontations, or should he have been psychologically analysed and relegated to a role that where the potential harm he could cause was minimised? In summary, I agree Megyn was right. The lady was partly responsible for her untimely demise. Understanding the necessity to comply with the police is universal. She should have known better than to poke a bear with military-grade weaponry on hand. Given that, I cannot see any justification of the rapid and deadly escalation of violence. But the more important aspect of this sad, sad story that no one seems to mention is that this is really only true in America. It is part of the fabric of that society, and whilst the reasons are many, it is clear to me that a compliant, servile, dishonest news media constantly willing to gaslight the general public is a key reason. This is the reason that Donald Trump's fake news narrative was so effective. Of course, it's classic projection from Trump, but Fox News viewers are likely acutely aware of the lies they are being spoon-fed, and they assume because their news source of choice is clearly lying to them, then all the other news sources must also be lying. People are constantly being told who to fear and who to hate on a daily basis. The others are dehumanized, mocked, and belittled. Entire groups are characterized as evil, dangerous, and the reason for any misfortune that you may come across. This makes it easier for you to comprehend the injustices they endure at the hand of the system.
So many of the people who jumped down the throats of these cops didn't see it or ignored it because it was inconvenient to show her actually accelerating into the cop who shot her. But it's all there on tape.
This seems like projection to me, and highlights Megyn clearly understands the concept of leaving out inconvenient facts. I wonder how long until that statement comes back to bite her.
We'll begin with the moments leading up to the shooting. Currently, there are no videos we've seen showing what happened leading up to the incident. But there is a witness account that 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good, she's the one who was shot, Renee Good, was blocking traffic, hoping to impede ICE investigations. That's what she was doing there. All right, her wife has admitted it. Democrats are calling her, as I pointed out, a quote, legal observer. Wrong. What's been reported so far about her background makes clear she was there to agitate, and her actual job had nothing to do with the law. She was a poet.
Okay, here I have said my piece. Up her clip by highlighting that Renee was clearly impeding the ICE agents. Now let us watch Megyn have a go. I imagine they found her quite annoying. I cannot argue with that.
I woke up to some commotion. I heard some whistles going on out front, so I came downstairs to see what was going on. Wasn't even dressed. And there was a car, the Honda Pilot that's crashed over there now. There's a car blocking the 2 lanes of Portland traffic. And the ICE agents got out and they were saying, get out of here, get out of here. She was the main car leading the protest, is my understanding. I talked to another guy who was driving behind her. But she was very successful in blocking traffic. She was doing what she was set out to do, and so they wanted to get her the hell out of there. Yeah.
So it looked like she was impeding ICE vehicles.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
That was her goal.
The interviewee backs up Megyn's claims. It seems Renee had been blocking traffic. She was successfully impeding the ICE agents' progress. Let's set aside any discussion of why someone might want to do such a thing. That's a whole other kettle of fish. Let's just let the facts be the facts. Renee was impeding law enforcement.
This is a sympathetic witness to her. The clip goes on. She's very angry at ICE. If anything, this woman had a reason to lie to make the woman driving the car, Renee Good, sound better.
The mask is slipping a little here. Once again, Megyn projects. If anything, this woman had a reason to lie, to make Renee sound better. The subtext is, of course, I am lying to make her sound worse. Of course, people on the other side of the argument will lie, just like me. Megyn looks genuinely confused at this revelation. I have news for you, Megyn. Some people aren't so quick to lie. They believe facts matter, however inconvenient. Also, lies aren't necessary when you aren't on your knees pushing a politically correct narrative.
But there she is on camera saying, very clearly that this woman who was ultimately shot was leading the protests and impeding the traffic across this Portland Avenue, that she was parked perpendicular to the traffic. Now that'll get you arrested pretty much 10 times out of 10.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that. Megyn just analysed the situation and described the most desirable outcome. She does understand what should have happened. Arrest her, then get on with your day.
So this is not a fan of ICE, and clearly her eyewitness testimonial is not favorable to Ms. Good. In this still image, you see a federal agent who we believe is the agent who eventually fires at Ms. Good. The agent is being followed closely by a female protester. She has identified herself as Renee Good's wife. She has her phone up, likely recording him. The agent also has a phone in his hand, likely recording her. Did the agent have a negative interaction with these women that caused him to begin recording too? We don't know yet. But clearly something was going on before, and it wasn't needlepoint.
Megyn is just planting seeds of pure speculation there. The officer has his phone out, so something negative has probably already happened. Just chipping away at her narrative, demonizing the victims without a shred of evidence. Just for the record, as Megyn is speculating what happened beforehand, I would like to speculate that when ICE agents are disrespected or something negative has happened for them, they don't tend to reach for a phone to record the rest of the interaction.
We have not yet seen the actual video that was on the cop's phone. But here's video we do have of that moment and what happened afterward. Again, they both appear to be recording each other's actions. You see a gray truck pull up. We talked about that yesterday. 2 federal agents step out. The driver of the maroon SUV, Ms. Good, says, "What's going on?" The officers quickly walk up and tell Ms. Good to get out of the car and then to, quote, "get out of the fucking car." Things are escalating. Good's window is down. She's looking directly at them. There is no way she did not hear the commands to get out of her car, repeated commands. She then puts her car into reverse, and here is the part of the video with sound of the agents making the commands and her beginning to reverse.
Get out of the fucking car.
No!
This is it. This is the bit where I begrudgingly agree with Megyn. Renee should have turned off her car engine and exited the car as she was commanded.
We believe that's her wife yelling no and recording. Right as Good reverses her car, you're about to see the agent who fired the shot move in front of the vehicle near the driver's side headlight. It's video. There's one guy on the side who's blocking the agent at issue, but you can see that there is an agent in front of her car.
Very little analysis of the most important part of the whole thing there. No questioning of the positioning of the ICE agent. Very handy omission of facts that fly in the face of the narrative you want to push.
It's right there, black and white. At first, you only see the agent at the driver's side door, and his body is kind of blocking the shooting cop. He's fighting to get the car door open as Good goes into reverse. The agent who fired the shots moves into the frame in front of the SUV. Good is still reversing backward.
Here, Megyn clearly omits the very pertinent fact that 2 further shots were fired from the side as the vehicle was passing him. Let's be as absolutely charitable as possible and accept that everything Megyn has said is exactly how it is. Right up until the point of the first shot. He's in danger, she's trying to kill him, he's in fear of his life. There is still some major explaining to do. The second and third shots. I do wonder how Megyn justifies those. She cannot. That is why she does not mention them at all. Focus on the facts that fit the narrative. Omit everything else.
She immediately puts it in drive and starts accelerating forward toward the cop. There was zero hesitation between Good reversing the vehicle and putting it into drive and clearly pressing the gas. By the way, this cop clearly would have heard the car begin to accelerate. About 2 seconds passes between the tires moving forward and the gunfire. The same agent then fires 2 more rounds. At that point, the SUV keeps moving forward before eventually crashing into a parked car. And the bullet hole that you can see is in the front windshield. The front. That's where he took the initial shot to stop her from running him over.
Megyn was very careful with her language there. She has now mentioned that 3 shots were fired. Details on the second and third shot were very scarce. She says the same agent then fires 2 more rounds, and at that point the SUV keeps moving forwards. No mention that the shots were from the side and that he was no longer in the path of the SUV. Then she mentions the single bullet hole in the windshield.
And the bullet hole that you can see is in the front windshield. The front. That's where he took the initial shot
She omits the fact that then is clear evidence that the second and third shots were clearly through the open driver's side window. Because she knows there is a very poor but plausible argument for the first shot. The second and third shots were clearly unnecessary and recklessly discharged with very little thought for the lives being endangered. An independent autopsy report was released by the law firm representing Renee Good's family and confirmed she was hit by 3 bullets. One gunshot wound traversed the right breast without penetrating major organs. One gunshot wound struck the left forearm, causing soft tissue hemorrhage. One gunshot wound entered the left side of her head near the temple and exited the right side of her head.
The agent, again, who we understand was the one to fire the shot, did walk down toward the crashed SUV before walking back up and telling others to call 911. There is another angle of the shooting that we brought to you yesterday, which I mentioned, which is key. This video was obtained by the local ABC affiliate. We've circled the agent and we've slowed down the video. Look at this. I'm sorry, but he's getting run over when he fires the shot. You can clearly see her hit him. That's what happens. It's blurry, but you see him put his foot back to brace himself as he was hit by the car before he fires and moves to the side. Here's an image of his leg backward, appearing to brace himself. You've got to watch this on our YouTube channel if you're just listening to this now. We've added an arrow pointing toward his leg so you can see what we're talking about. Okay, this guy knew he was about to get hit.
Again, no questioning of the officer's actions. Why was he going to get hit? Has he rather foolishly positioned himself in a very precarious position?
We also noticed something else, something interesting that will be huge if it gets released to the public. The agent who fires his gun, as I referenced, is holding up his cell phone still, likely still recording when she accelerates toward him. Here's a closer image. You see his hand holding what appears to be his phone. So there is likely video of this incident from the agent's vantage point. And if this does go to trial, that will be extremely important evidence. From this image, you can see where one of the bullets entered, again, the driver's window. There's also another video taken by another eyewitness that shows agents telling a man who says he's a doctor that he can't go near the victim to help her. Watch this.
Can I go check a pulse?
No! Back up! Now!
I'm a physician!
Hey, listen,
we understand. We got EMS coming. I get it. Just give us a second.
we have medics on scene. We have our own medics.
Where are they? Where are they? How can I relax? You just killed my fucking neighbor! You caught butter in the fucking face! You killed my fucking neighbor! How do you show up to work every day? How the fuck do you do this every day?
How do you protect Mr. Guatemala, lady, to molest the children of Minneapolis?
This has to be a very controversial take on what we just saw. I cannot believe she has many defenders for such a messed up take. First, the accusation that the person wants to protect child sex offenders. That is a dirty low blow from Megyn, a very cheap shot and a massive extrapolation. No, people do not want to protect child sex offenders. What they are protesting is the very heavy-handed and illegal targeting of minority groups for deportation. Reasonable, responsible enforcement of the law to remove illegal aliens is what people would like. In particular, people would be overjoyed if the more dangerous people were removed. To suggest otherwise isn't just willful ignorance. Megyn is smarter than that, and she knows what she's doing here. She's using the dirtiest tactics to undermine the very legitimate frustration that Lady had after watching an ICE agent execute her neighbour. That's all I have to say on that particular segment for now, but I have two clips I would like to show you before I end my discussion. If you think I have mischaracterised Megyn Kelly as a propagandist, I would like to remind you that she has outright admitted to being a propagandist in the past for
Bad news!
Let me just tell you something. When I was at Fox News, which was a long time, 14 years, I would have known exactly what to do in the wake of Trump's attack in Venezuela, his retrieval, shall we say, to put it in mild terms, of Nicolas Maduro. I would have known that I was supposed to cheerlead it. And I turned on Fox News yesterday, and I'm sorry, but it was like watching Russian propaganda.
That was a pretty clear admission to me. I would have known what to do. I would have known that I was supposed to cheer it. I turned on Fox News yesterday, and it was like watching Russian propaganda. She admits that for 14 years of her career, she was working for a propaganda machine masquerading as news. I cannot think of a reason why she would change what she's been doing so successfully for all those years. There is a famous poem that I think about more and more these days. First They Came by Martin Niemöller, a post-war confessional poem by a German pastor, initially a supporter of Hitler, highlighting the cowardice and lack of opposition to the Nazis by a number of groups.
First They Came by Martin Niemöller. First they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me.
This resonates with me now because I think that the world and our society are disintegrating and divisions are springing up everywhere. I think it would be helpful for the people cheering on the separation and dehumanization of different groups to think about how they might feel one day if they were designated as a member of a group considered less than. If you allow a selfish, mindless, narcissistic psychopath to run the country with no reason, no rules, no consequences, a lot of innocent lives are going to be destroyed. Thank you for your attention to this matter.